Hi, everyone. This is Laura with Laura's View and Tarot 2.
And Lady D from Oracle Adelphi and Soul Therapy with LadyD.com.
We're here for episode 4 of Nicely Spicy. Now, I try to bring it nicely, and occasionally Lady D brings it spicy. And when she does, we clutch our pearls and deal with it.
Well, you're gonna have to clench your pearls because I'm doing hot and spicy, extra spicy today, Laura.
We're ready to go here. We're ready to go. Okay. Well, I brought a few things from news from the past week, just some topics to quickly cover, even if we don't do individually all of them with tarot, because it was a busy week. Trump was a busy, busy boy. Okay. He had an interview with Laura Ingraham last Monday that I thought was kind of disastrous personally. He was talking about how we need people with the H-1B visa program, and he had talked in 2015 about saying it needed to end. And I know he tried to explain that he was talking about truly um, niche workers who have special skills. But that's what it was always touted as. And then people were brought in, you trained people instead of them training you, and they took your job. And people are just thinking that this is a total turnaround and we're going back to that type of situation. He also started talking about 50-year mortgages as a housing solution. And when you tie that to variable inflation rates and prices, like I hear, it's just rent with a fancy name. So, and then he justified that we need to allow the 600,000 student visas that go to Chinese, Indian, and South Korean, etc. students, because colleges without those influx of foreign students would not be able to survive. And like I said, so I thought it was kind of a disaster on all points there. Um, Personally, as a survivor myself of a sexual assault, it bothers me when Trump refers to the Epstein as the Epstein hoax. And I realize on one level what he's saying is the hoax is about trying to claim he had um, actionable uh, activities himself on the island or, with Jeffrey Epstein, but calling a hoax when so many thousands of children and teenagers were victimized on that island. It really bothers me. And then this week, Trump, has withdrawn support of MTG and Marjorie Taylor Greene, and I just thought that was kind of interesting. And the way she's going about trying to do damage control is just blows my mind. She's going on CNN, a network she's often disparaged, and taking, talking points with them. And yeah, I mean, they'll have her on, absolutely, but it's not gaining her credibility any favors or getting her back in good graces with anybody. And then the good news, the Epstein files disclosure bill looks like it's projected to pass the House. And Trump did say, let's go ahead and do it because he had nothing to worry about it. So that's going ahead. And one point of celebration last week, you and I did one of our reads was about the $2,000 um, tariff rebate that might be coming our way, and it looks like that's rolling ahead. So good news for us, and we were kind of on top of that one. The last thing I had was I thought kind of interesting. The internet went wild, and we have a new meme queen, and that is Sydney Sweeney because she refused to apologize for saying she had good genes, and I say, good for you, girl.
Yeah. Oh yeah. If you have a good figure, if you're in shape, why should she be ashamed about that? Why should she have to apologize? We should be touting that and congratulating that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's not like she put anybody else down or said, that, body positive, movement is bad or anything like that. She just gave credit where credit is due, good genetic material that she had no control over.
Exactly. Some people are just born with good genes, not Geans, maybe Genes. So what's wrong with that? Nothing.
Yeah, but I love that she had the presence at her age to say, no, I'm good. When they asked her on air, when pressure was on her, wouldn't you like to apologize for that comment or, take it back? And no, I'm good. And, it took me a lot longer than that to where I could make that kind of response at times to things. So good for her as far as I'm concerned.
Yep.
So, did you have anything you wanted to bring to the table today?
Well, I I was going to bring up Marjorie Taylor Greene, and I was thinking, Laura, do you think that this is all a big? She's clenching her pearls.
I'm ready.
Well, here we go. I kind of think that maybe that this whole fight between MTG and Trump is bullshit, is a psyop. Do you think that maybe it's all fake,
Uh,
just so that it will bring maybe attention to the Epstein files, and maybe he's going to use her as a Trojan horse so she can infiltrate the enemy, go behind. Well, I mean, she went on The View. That's like a with the cackling cows or the cackling hens on The View. So, I mean, God bless her. God help her. That's the beast that's like going into the lion's den,
yeah.
right? But do you think that maybe that's all a hoax? What do you
I
think? I think it's kind of bullshit, Laura.
I think there's a good possibility it is that things are going on. You know, the 17 team tells us that they're saving Israel for last for a very good reason.
Mm-hmm.
Currently, President Trump is seeming to be very friendly with Israel and very pro. Um, and I'm wondering if she's also being used in that way because Marjorie Taylor Greene has been, and I've never listened to The View, but I wanted to hear her on that segment. I did listen to that segment, and I actually thought she was very well spoken. She said President Trump is my president. She wouldn't badmouth him. And she made the point that I've often made in my videos is that you can have reservations and even deep questions about a country's government, and that doesn't make you critical of the people or their major religion at all. It doesn't make you anti-Semitic to say, I really worry about the leadership in that country or how deep the deep state is there. So I'm going to clear my throat here. Sorry about that. But yeah, I think there's something to that, that it may be some gamesmanship going on. I think that'd make an excellent topic. And since you brought that up, why don't you take it away for our first read?
All right. And also too, I wanted to talk about too is and get your take on the BBC. They FAFO'd. They fucked around and they found out, didn't they?
Yes, they did.
Clutch, clutch, clutch. I
They
told
not
you I was going to be
only
extra spicy.
they not only had a slanted, a biased approach to something, they cut and spliced three different sound bites, put it together to make Trump seem to have been egging on violence on January 6th. And they have
Mhm.
since, a couple of people have resigned in disgrace over that and they've apologized. But I hear that President Trump is still moving forward with a lawsuit about that. So I thought that was really good to see because yeah, there should be some accountability. Oh, and one last thing, and this may be the one that I choose to go to, even though it's not a hot ticket item, it is a heartfelt item. Tina Peters, she is the court clerk in Colorado that was jailed. And because she was sentenced through a state system, she isn't eligible for a federal pardon. And she has poor health and she's in poor conditions. And President Trump has started some efforts to have her moved to a federal facility. So I would kind of like to see if the universe sees that working out for her just for our peace of mind, because I know a lot of people care about her outcome. I mean, it could have been you or me at January 6th. If I was in Alaska at the time, or I might have been there, just, out of solidarity for my conviction about how that election had manifested itself. And I could be Tina Peters or one of the other grandmas that are in jail. So I'm going to excuse myself here for a second, and we'll let you do your tarot read, and I'll come back during the recap, okay?
All righty, sounds good. Okay, so let's do a reading on MTG, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Let's find out if it's all BS and if this big feud, this is a faux feud. Is it a faux feud? Is it all for show in order to get MTG back in with to get to get her in with the Democrats so that she can be like a Trojan horse and find out information and also to get the Epstein files out. So let's ask, Holy God, in the name of Yeshua, Holy Spirit, is this whole feud between Marjorie Taylor Greene and President Trump, is it all fake? Is it a farce? Is it a psyop in order for her to gain access to the Democratic Party to get their secrets to report back to President Trump? And also, is it a ploy to get the Epstein files out and for the Democrats to demand the release of the Epstein files? So, is it a psyop? That's the yes or no question. And anything else that will give us clarity and understanding, Holy Spirit of God and Yeshua the Christ. And I usually just do the 5 card one for the sake of time. Laura does the big katina knife. All right, here we go. Ooh, the sun card. Right off the bat, we got our ace. Right off the bat, yes, it is a psyop. Wow. Yep, it's because things are being hidden. 5 of Swords, absolutely. Wow, great. First of all, we got the sun card. So right off the bat, it is telling me that absolutely Marjorie Taylor Greene is of the light. She's part of the White Hats. Okay. She's working with the Alliance and she's doing this because she wants to help humanity. In particular, they both want to get the Epstein files out. I am getting that there are still some littles that haven't been found that are being looked for, let's put it that way, because we have the YouTube police, so we have to censor what we say, but we know that there's still littles that need to be accounted for. And it's also to it's a big psyop to get the light shown upon the Epstein files, and to get people going. And it is for her to gain access to the Democratic Party. And the reason why I say this is we got the ace. The Ace of Wands is obviously a big, huge yes. That's a yes. And that's her moving in a direction very passionately and very strongly. And we got the 4 of Pentacles. So the reason why also I say that is because there is information that's still being hidden. And I do think that Democrats have some information that Trump and the Alliance want. And also, this is because the Epstein files are still not fully out. This is definitely an impetus to get them out into the public. Now, the 5 of Swords is a struggle and conflict, but it's temporary. So this indicates that this is a temporary, I will say, faux feud and a temporary feud between MTG and President Trump. And we also got the 4 of Cups. Now, with the 4 of Cups, it's kind of like the 4 of Cups is about people being kind of over it and people being kind of in the doldrums and kind of sick and tired of present circumstances. So, what I'm getting is that this is definitely a way because people want the Epstein files released. They've been promised the Epstein files since the beginning of President Trump's presidency, right? Even before. It was part of his campaign. And so this is to bring this out into the open because people are getting sick and tired of being apathetic about the Epstein files. So this is definitely a psyop. Marjorie Taylor Greene and President Trump, they still love each other. They're still friends. They're both working on the same team for the light for God. This is because there's still information that they need from the Democrats, and it's to get the Democrats to want the Epstein files out and for her to gain access to them to get the information to give back to the alliance. And we got the 5 and we got the 4 of Cups. So it's absolutely a psyop, Laura. All right, so doing the quick recap. Marjorie Taylor Greene and President Trump are working on the same team. They're both part of the alliance. It's all a psyop. It's all to get all the information that they need from the Democrats and also to get people interested in the Epstein files and to get them released 1000%.
Love it. Love it. Thank you so much for that. And I'm going to go with my Tina Peters question, but I want to craft it carefully because I realize there is a chance that Tina Peters actually may have been rescued. Maybe there's a stand-in that's doing that time for her. So I just want to get some insights and information and see what the universe has to tell us, okay? And so I'm going to go to that. I'll switch the screen and get to that so we can find out together what the universe wants us to know. Okay, what's going on with Tina Peters in Colorado? President Trump has publicly said he's trying to get her transferred to a federal facility, but it's also possible, since sometimes things happen in the background that we're not aware of, that there's some subtle and quiet information we should be aware of. So I'm just going to ask for updates, insights, and information about the situation with the person seen in the public eye as Tina Peters, jailed court clerk, I believe was her thing from Colorado. Now I'm going to do a 5 card read like Lady D did. Okay, so we have Knight of Cups, Six of Pentacles, Three of Cups, Four of Wands, and Six of Wands. Okay, so what I'm getting right now here is, yeah, there is the situation with her is it's not what it seems. What we're seeing in the news. Tina Peters is actually, what we're going to see is the successful move to the federal prison system for this lady, and then at that point, maybe a pardon can be happened. But action has already been taken. They greased a few palms in the background and came to an agreement, and so she is already in circumstances that can't publicly be disclosed, but are much better for a person in frail health and older years. So, yeah, the situation is going to seem to resolve with her getting a move to federal prisons, but it's already been dealt with in the background. Interesting. So, quick recap for my question about Tina Peters, and boy, am I glad that I didn't have the focus so narrow that we couldn't get some good information. The first card that came up said, there's some trickery involved. They've already dealt with Tina's situation that everybody has their price, and they found a way to get this woman into safer circumstances. Okay, so there's been an agreement that's happened. She flew the coop, even though someone is playing her part or seeming to play that part. And then the outcome, and keep your focus on, couldn't get nicer. What's going to play out in the public eye is that there will be an approved transfer to a federal facility. And then at some point, this woman will be, publicly exonerated or validated or something like that. But in the meantime, it looks like her situation has already been very lovingly taken care of. And yeah, it was expensive to do, but they did it, and I'm so glad.
Me too. Thank the Lord. She deserves some help. She got a really bad deal. It was awful what they did to her.
She did. She did. There's a couple of grandmas that got jail time for being in the wrong place at the wrong time, and yeah, it's not right. Especially when none of those paid provocateurs, those how many hundred FBI agents were there that caused damage, pretended to be, angry patriots. None of them have served any time and should,
Exactly.
you know? And who would, you would think an order like that, if you're going to make sure there's no problems, that's one thing, but you're being sent in to instigate them. I can't believe people were able to accept those orders and act on them, and not stand up and say, oh, hell no. That's as tough as I
Exactly.
get. You won't need pearls. Okay.
Now that's my job.
Well, that's it for this week for episode 4 of Nicely Spicy. And we thank you for joining us and hope you'll come back for more when we look at the weekly news and pick a couple things to dive into with the tarot.
Bye.
Bye.